Hello everybody, Officer J here. Back with another video. We had a few questions. One of the questions is a real big question, so I think it kind of deserves its own video. Before we get to it though, I'm gonna read the question, and then before we get into the details of the question, we're gonna kind of take some time to discuss what the question is based off of, and then we'll just go from there, okay? So Brittany Menard writes, so what is harder? Mental health cases where there's an irrational behavior, or cases where someone is just very aggressive and agitated? So the biggest thing about it is, it might sound crazy, especially saying this in 2024. A lot of people still don't believe in like the mental health crisis, scare, whatever you want to call it. There's still a bunch of people, and when I say a bunch, I'm talking about nationally, globally. So we're talking about millions of people that believe that mental health issues aren't real, that it's just something that people grow out of, or that you can discipline somebody out of. I'm gonna say it here first: mental health issues are real. There's a lot of people that no matter what they do, they can't help it because they just can't help it. It's just a body design. I don't want to call it a flaw, but like a body design, of it's just who they are. No matter how hard they try, no matter how hard their family members try, it's just something that they have to live with on a daily basis. Do I feel that we have to sit there, bend over backwards, change our entire lifestyle to accommodate every individual? I'm not going to say that, but I will say that we do also need to be understanding and understand that different people are coming from different places. They have different levels of understanding and ability, so we should take that into consideration whenever we're making decisions in regards to how we deal with these people. But to answer the question that she posted is, I prefer to deal with somebody that's just, being aggressive and agitated, because a lot of time there's a reason behind it. And also that means that person usually knows what they're doing, and they're doing it on purpose based on their emotions right there. We can work with that. That is something that's like, hey, look, you came home, you found your wife cheating on you. You came home, you found your boyfriend cheating on you, whatever. You're aggravated, but it's something we can work with to help calm you down and, assess the situation. Whenever it's a mental health issue, the problem is a lot of times some people just feel angry. They don't know why. They don't know how to explain it. Sometimes they're aggressive, and there's no keywords, there's no trigger words, there's nothing that you can say to to this person to calm them down. It's just trying to get this person under control in the best way possible. And I'll segue from that into calls that we get. So whenever I worked at some of the agencies, I haven't really had it as much of the agency that I currently work at, we would get called at mental health behavior units, and they'll say, hey, we have a patient here, he's being or she's being super aggressive towards us and the doctors. Could you guys come help and resolve the issue and get them under control? Now we get there and we're like, hey, you guys are doctors, you guys are the ones that went to school and trained to deal with these situations. I'm just a guy with a badge and a gun and other tools, but we have training, and we take yearly courses and other kind of training that we do, like on the job training, but we're not specially designed to handle this. This is what the mental health unit's for. If you guys are the ones that saying, hey, we're trained to deal with this type of person, and you're calling me and saying, hey, I need your help, it's like, hey, this is where I would bring the person at. This is a specialty place. This is where this person needs to be. And then a lot of times they'll be like, hey, this person is suffering from this, so try not to do this, try not to do that. And it's like, hey, I'm a law enforcement officer. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I would try my best to get this person under control. Obviously, using the least amount of force or least amount of whatever we have to use to get this person under control. But it's like, at the end of the day, you as a doctor is calling somebody that handles criminal and traffic complaints and say, hey, I need you to handle this medical emergency. And I say all this to say, like, because this is all related to the question of which one do I prefer. I prefer handling somebody that's agitated and aggressive all day, every day, because we can handle that. We we can say, hey, you're aggravated because of X, Y, and Z. You did X, Y, and Z. Therefore, you're at fault of whatever if you did commit a crime. Whenever somebody, commits a crime, the first thing that they want to say is, can you prove intent? Is this person, and then once you get to the court, mens rea will say, did this person have the knowledge of what they were doing to say that it was wrong? So we're sitting there like, if I know this person's if I get to a call and somebody says, hey, this guy right here, he is bipolar, schizophrenic, or whatever other, mental health issue he might or she might have, you're telling me at the beginning, hey, this person 99% of the time is not responsible for the action that they are doing. So with me knowing that, now I have to sit there and try to find the best way possible to resolve this issue, calm this person down. A lot of times it's just trial and error. Sometimes you might have to take a punch to the face. I'm not saying just stand there and let somebody continuously punch you in the face, but sometimes you might say something that you normally used to calm down people, but it doesn't work in these situations. I had one incident where it was a young guy, I think the kid was 15, maybe 16 years old at the time, and he had Asperger's. Whenever he would get in a certain mood, he would just throw his mom's house around. I mean, flipping everything around. You walk in there, you swear a hurricane or a tornado didn't hit the house. Biggest thing with him was he loves Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'm a gamer, I'm a nerd, so I did this and that. So when I seen that he had Pokemon cards kind of scattered, I was like, hey man, you play Pokemon cards? And it's like he just snapped out of it right away. Just like, he looked at me, he's like, oh, Pokemon, yeah. I was like, yeah, dude, I got a first edition Charizard card, It's just a Pokemon if you didn't know. And for the next 15 minutes, it got to the point where it was like, you can swear I was talking to a whole different person because he was no longer just a aggressive kid that's throwing around his mom's kitchen pots. So it had got to the point where, and at the agency, I was one of the only, like I said, nerds there. So I gave his mom my personal number. I'm like, hey, if he ever gets in a situation where I'm on or off, you don't have to know my schedule, but if you're ever in a situation where he's kind of like, agitated and throwing the house around, give me a call. I'll come sit down and talk with him to help calm him down. Because once we calmed him down, it was okay. But that was just lucky because, it was a simple thing as Pokemon cards. Sometimes it's not that simple. We had one where, at the current agency I'm at, where this guy was at a behavior unit once again. He's flipping out. We still don't know why he's flipping out, but he's an African-American gentleman. So in his mind, I don't know if it was just because of something that he watched and maybe it just got stuck in his head, I don't know. But he thought that the Caucasian workers that were there was trying to put him back into slavery. So the initial officer that went was also a Caucasian officer. So he's like, all these white people are trying to make me a slave, and he's just screaming this at the top of his lungs. And he's surrounded by white people. Now obviously they're not, it's just doctors, nurses, and an officer. Nobody's trying to harm him. They're just trying to do what's best for him. But as far as getting the situation under control, I walk in and I'm looking, I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. I just hear what he's saying. I'm like, okay, I'm in a behavior unit with somebody that's like, screaming at the top of his lungs, these white people are trying to enslave me. So I just look at him and I just do the best that I can. And I'm like, man, you saying all these white people are trying to enslave you? He's like, yeah. I said, look, let me help you out. Let me get all these white people out of the room, and it'll just be me and you, And he's like, yeah, I like that. So I asked him, like, hey, you guys mind stepping out? They're all looking at me, and I'm like, hey, look, if it doesn't work, just stay. You're going to be outside the door. You got to come in. I said, but let me at least try this. Because once again, it's the path with the least amount of force, whether it be officer presence. Force isn't always like putting your hands on people. Sometimes it could just be speaking, your presence. When you show up, that's a sign of force because your presence there, saying, hey, there's an officer on scene. So I'm like, it doesn't hurt to try this, So, but back to that. So, we get over there, and I'm like, he's like, yeah, man. I said, man, look, I know these particular white people. I said, these are good people. I said, they're just here for the, for the betterment of you. I said, I knew there's an officer person. I said, I would trust this officer with my life. I said, man, look, they're just trying to get you what you need, get you, the help that you need, and send you back home to your family. Because I wanted to say he was an outpatient. He wasn't somebody that stayed at the unit. He just had to come for checkup and medication, I guess. But, so, after about 5 minutes of talking to him, he was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, but you can't leave. Or so, but, I stood by while he did whatever he had to do with the doctors. But but that's the thing though. But not all cases are like that. There's some cases in the country where mental health people end up getting shot because some officers, either whether they're trained or not, they just can't get them under control soon enough to stop it from getting to that level. They're flipping out, they're attacking officers, and they're grabbing and throwing stuff at them. And it's like, and I'm not blaming the person here. It's just there's nothing that the officer or whatever can do to calm this person down in that situation, because it's not a rational situation. So, sometimes, and for better or worse, sometimes the officers have to resort to that just to protect their lives and the lives of the public. This isn't, nobody's at fault here. It's just one of those, things have to be done to ensure the safety of all parties involved. And I know that sometimes, somebody has to get hurt, but that's just the nature of it. Nothing's perfect. Every day we wake up, not just us as law enforcement officers, but just people in general. Every day we wake up, we just try to do the best that we can do every single day. Try to do better today than we did yesterday. And I know this is a long answer to answer a simple 4-sentence question of which one do I prefer. Once again, like I said, give me the aggravated and agitated guy 100% of the time. I'll do that. But for me personally, I talk a lot. I mean, this video is going on 12 minutes. Just explain one question. It's kind of the reason why I wanted to give this video is on Just Do. I didn't want to just bundle it up with other videos and just skim past it. But I talk a lot. I love talking to people. So whenever I see people on the streets, especially people that's different than me, there's a lot of people like, dude, like this person, why are you talking to that person so much? I'm like, because I never really encountered that type of person before. I'm like, especially in my career field, I'm like, me talking to different cultures, different types of people, there's nothing that there's no such thing as knowing too much. I'm like, me being able to talk to this subsection of people, it just makes me a better person, makes me a better officer. Because I might run into somebody similar to that and be like, oh, hey, this worked with this guy. It can potentially work with this guy. I'm not saying it will work, but it's an avenue that I can try. Like Batman's, utility belts. Like, I'm trying to have something on my hip, so to speak, that if this doesn't work, I can try this. And if that doesn't work, you can try this. Just different things to, best resolve the situation. Like I said, I talk a lot, love talking to people. And this has come, the LGBTQ community. I've learned a lot from them. Talking to them, I'll give them time because just to understand where they're coming from. They'll file complaints that I wouldn't even think is a complaint because I've never experienced it in my daily life. So for me to sit there and say, hey man, your complaint is invalid, whenever I'm just talking to one person, then when I have like 20 people telling me the same thing, I'm like, okay, so it's a big enough issue that you guys feel is a complaint. And I see why it's a complaint, because now that I know where you guys are coming from, I can see how this thing was aimed in an aggressive or whatever offensive manner towards you guys. And it's the exact same thing with just all subsections of people. But this video is going on 14 minutes. Like I said, we'll continue to do this Q&A format. If you guys have any questions, you guys can drop them to me on Facebook. Leave them in the comment section of the video. I also have a Reddit channel that's attached to this YouTube channel. And there's a little community tab. You can post your questions there. I'm going to try to do Q&As at least once, maybe twice a week, depending on how many questions I have and the needs that we have. And I also plan on doing story time. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on the bell notification. That way when these videos are released, you're first to know. Other than that, you guys have a good day.